Hey guys, Real 111T here. I just want to talk to you guys for a couple minutes about something that's a little bit outside the scope of my channel, something you wouldn't really expect to see. The subject of this video is EDC Pocket Notebooks. Okay, I was watching a video of someone interviewing Adam Savage, and he did a little pocket dump, EDC dump. And one of the things that he was carrying around with him was a little notebook made by a company called Field Notes. And a long time ago, I used to carry a Moleskine notebook similar to this one a lot, to just put little notes, usually for work. Nothing super profound. When I went hiking, I would keep trail notes in a similar notebook, a little bit larger format. And they're Moleskines. Okay, this is a Moleskine. I don't know if you can see that on there. See if I can get it to focus. Yep. A Moleskine notebook. Okay. So, and the form factor of this is it's small. You know, think Sean Connery's character in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade type notebook. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's what he was carrying anyway. It's got this little elastic band, and it's got a bookmark in there. And the ones I carried were usually lined. This one has graph pages on it, which you may or may not be able to see depending on the auto exposure. And I used to carry those around. Now for work, I didn't want to devote something quite as nice as that. So what I started carrying were just these little pocket composition notebooks. You can get these at Walmart or Staples. Last I looked, they had a little 3-pack of these at Walmart for about 88 cents. Okay. So I decided to look into various different options after watching that. You know, I knew, of course, about the Moleskine one that I had carried, but I wasn't necessarily looking for something quite as big. I was looking for something a little bit nicer than this. Just, you know, mainly for work. To carry around, and you know, we do a lot of different lighting setups and stuff like that, and I would come up with a setup and record the light values, the power settings and stuff like that. But it's nice to have the graph because you can actually draw a little layout. So like I said, the notebook that Adam had was this Field Notes brand. Now they make several different versions of this. This one is the Expedition. Okay, if you look into them, they've got some basic ones that are just little notebooks. And this one actually has, well, they don't have a graph. They've got a dot matrix on here. But in practice, it works like a graph. But the pages in this one, this is waterproof. And the pages are almost like a very thin Tyvek. They're not only waterproof, but they're tear-proof, which is interesting. And that could be a good or bad if you think about it. It'll be very durable in your pocket. However, what if you want to rip a page out and leave it for someone? You pretty much have to have a knife or scissors to get a page out of this thing. So extreme durability is a plus, and the cost for these was about $10. Actually, no, these ones were a little bit more. These ones were about $12, I think, $12 to $13 on Amazon, and they were because they were the Expedition ones. The other ones are, that was for 3 of them, not just one. Okay, so that's a recurring theme I've discovered. Now this one has 48 pages. Okay, so that's a decent little size to be very portable. Okay, the idea behind these guys is you're going to write your notes down, and you're not going to necessarily need to have a giant book, because every so often you're just going to swap out for another one. This one, this is the one I started carrying, actually. Here's the one I started carrying. You see right there, I wrote a 1. Okay, and I've got my Fisher Space Pen in there. Okay. All right. So then Fisher Space Pen's a nice little pen to carry around. It's very compact. My EDC that I carry around for work is, this is a Parker Jotter clicky, and it's got a Fisher Space Pen insert. So I'm really a fan of the Fisher Space Pens because they write really well, and you know, especially if you think of something like this, you're not going to be necessarily writing on a desk or a table. You might be like writing on your leg or writing on a tree or writing on the wall. Having a pen that's not going to run out of ink is a nice feature. Okay, the next ones I want to look at, these are Moleskine cashiers. I'm not sure. Basically, this is about the same size. Okay, I don't know exactly how many pages these are. There's more pages in this, and what you got is just regular paper. It's acid-free archival paper. They tout, but it is not waterproof. It is not tear-proof. But it's just a nice little notebook. These are not made in USA, if that's important to you, whereas the field notes are made in USA. This nice little stitching, it's stitched together. It's not going to focus on it. But you get this in the same options. This has got the graph on it, which is something that I wanted, because you can write just as well on graph as you can online, and then the graph has some added functionality. This also has a pocket in the back that you can keep things, like if you collected a business card or a receipt or whatever, it'll hold that. All in all, this is less durable, obviously, than the field notes one. It does have more pages. I don't know if you can see or figure that, but these pages are thinner, and the book itself is thicker. So there's a bunch. I should probably look that up so that I know. But I think probably this would do a decent job. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cycle through all these, and I'll have kind of a chapter 2 after I've used each different one of the ones that I'm talking about here for maybe a month or so. Because I figure these are going to last about a month, maybe 2 months. And then I have to move on to the next one. So the field notes is up first. And then up second is the Moleskines. Okay. And the price on these was about the same. It was about $10 for 3 of them. So it could be cheaper if you consider a per page, right? So now the next one that I looked at, Rite in the Rain. Now this one is a little bit smaller, if you want to see here, kind of the form factor. The Moleskines and the field notes are just about exactly the same size. Okay. If you look at these two, that's just about exactly the same. They say, but the Rite in the Rain one, not only is it smaller in form, this way and this way, it has a lot fewer pages. They're numbered, which is nice. They're actually, let me see if I can, well, they're numbered. 24 pages, okay, and that is sides, not sheets. So, and this one, it has kind of a, it's kind of a lined with grid pattern. So it would function either way. In the beginning, it's got some little notation spots. The field notes has something similar. Let me find the one that I haven't filled out. It's got this little sort of place where you can put some personal information. And the back, it's got possible things you can use it for. They're kind of jokey. I don't know if it's going to focus on that, but there's some kind of goofy possible uses for it. Climbing plans, Dr. Livingston presumptions, base camp coordinates, decoy treasure locations. Number 5, in quotes, how to do it next time. They joke, but that's probably 9/10 of what something like this gets used for. So what's the philosophy of use for one of these? Is just basically to record things that I don't want to necessarily throw out. Like if I jot something down on a piece of paper, what I found, just to give you an example, when I interview potential workers, okay, which is one of my duties, I have a sort of a series of questions that I ask them that I came up with. This is my first year doing it, so I came up with a series of questions that are legal to ask people, and kind of will weed out people that will just not work out for our job. So I wrote them down on a piece of paper, and I kept that piece of paper with me throughout the whole interview process. And I was cleaning my desk, and it's kind of written just on the edge of a piece of paper that was used for something else. And I was like, this is a ratty thing. I don't want to hang on to it anymore. So I just transcribed them into my little notebook, and there they are, kind of recorded. It's nothing super profound. Some people are going to buy these things. I see some people on the internet that just collect them. Okay. One thing about field notes is they come out with collector's editions where the cover is a different color. The cover is a different color, and it's a collector's edition. And then they just stack these things on a shelf and they never write in them, which is kind of a shame. But I kind of understand the collection mentality. But basically, you don't know what is going to be an important thing to look back on. Okay? So when you're writing things down, when I went back and I looked at one of my old ones, I picked up one of my old ones and I looked through it, and I found like backpacking recipes. I found a diagram for how to set up a dartboard with, how high off the ground it has to be and how far the line that you throw the darts from has to be. I made a nice little diagram in there. So, when I look back at that, I was like, oh, that's neat. I have that stuff all written down. But the point is that if you limit yourself to things that you think are like these profound, deep thoughts that you're recording for posterity, I don't really consider it that. I think what you need to do is just think about things that you might want to reference. Think of it as your own personal reference manual, okay? And you're going to put a little note to yourself in the future, okay? Or maybe somebody else who's trying to understand how you think in the future. So these are kind of neat things. Now, there's different form factors. You could go so far as to have like a full-on composition notebook, right? The trouble with this is you're not going to carry it, all right? When I went backpacking, I used a larger version of the cashier thing here. They make them probably about 4 times this large, okay? But it's the same thickness, the same paper, and the same cover, like flexible cover. I used to carry that when I was backpacking, but I only used it when we were at camp, right? This is sort of an everyday carry item, and if you carry a large thing like this, okay, first of all, it's not going to be on your person. You're not going to slide this into your cargo pocket. Even if you pick up something like this, which is about the same size, maybe a little bit larger, okay, but just super thick, right? You're not going to use this on a day-to-day. What you could end up doing is fill these out, and then you could transcribe them into one of these to put on the bookshelf. You could. Or you could just take a bunch of these and just stack them somewhere in a shoebox or something in order. And then if you have to go back and reference them, they'll be there. Which is probably what I'm going to do, because I don't have a lot of time to transcribe into something like this. Now, this is a new one, a new Moleskine that I got. This one has a soft cover, which is different than the ones I used to carry, of almost exactly the same other dimensions. And this one also has the graph. I don't know. I've been kind of spoiled with the field notes one, because this sort of just, it goes into the pocket of my jacket and it just sort of disappears. And the only time that I pull it out is when I need it, okay? So, just a couple thoughts on those. Let me see. Yeah, this one is probably the chintziest one. And I didn't talk about cost for this one, but I think this was the same. 3 of these for about $10. And if I had to do it again, this is one of those things you buy on Amazon, and it's like, when it shows up, you're like, oh, well, that's kind of chintzy. It's waterproof paper, right? It's not tear-proof paper, which is nice, because if you want to rip a piece off and leave a note, you could do that. But they're really kind of small, all right? All 3 of them together, are about as many as leaves as, well, I don't even know if it's how many leaves, but it's as thick as 2 of the Moleskine ones. So I'll try and post some links to these various items. The field notes, like I said, if you're going to buy the field notes, I don't have any experience with their basic ones. I imagine their basic ones are similar to this, but made in the USA. These ones are made in Vietnam or the Philippines or something. You know, they have that Moleskine is like, it seems like sort of a French brand, but you know, maybe that's the whole Indochina collection. And then, you know, there's always these, you know, if you're starting out and just see if it's for me. You know, for a long time, you know, when I used to carry these, I used to use them a lot. The thing about this is you don't have any compunctions. If you have the slightest thing that you think you want to write down, you just scribble in it because it's, you know, a third of 88 cents. You know, it hardly costs anything. This is 160 pages, not waterproof. One of the things that I used to do to mine is I used to, see how this has got a band on it? I used to take a rubber band and a piece of tape and rubber band it around the notebook and then just tape it on the back, and it functioned exactly the same way. One thing I've noticed about these is some of my older ones, with no explanation really, the elastic has just given up. I don't know if it's heat cold cycles, you know, summer to winter in my library at home, but I picked up one of my other ones and this was just like hanging loose. So I might have to cut that off. It's not doing anything but getting in the way now. So yeah, something to consider, you know. It's useful. And as I was saying, you know, I used to use my phone, okay, but the phone is less convenient in terms of typing it in if you want to, you know, write something real quick, you know. Sometimes I find myself using the dictation, which always misspells things. The nice thing about that is you can just email your note. If I think of anything else, I will annotate it on this video. But for now, let's just leave it at that. This video is kind of going a little long, so thanks for watching, guys. So yeah, just a real short, I promise, real short addendum. I rewatched the video just now that I shot, and I was a little too negative on this company. I have other notebooks of theirs somewhere that are more of a form factor like this with a squared off binding, and I mean they're great. You know, it's just this particular model. What is this? 971 TFX-M. All right, the front-facing camera on this thing doesn't focus, so I don't think I would buy this particular version again. And it's not anything to do with the quality in terms of the materials or workmanship. This is another made in the USA one, which I didn't mention. It has nothing to do with I mean, it's top-notch as far as that goes. It's just, it's really small. So, yeah, that's my final thought. If I find in my travels the other ones that I have, I think, you know, in some kit that I have one or two of them in an admin pouch or something that I never actually used. I put them in the kit as part of the kit, and then basically I haven't used the kit for anything, so they're just kind of stored away. So maybe I'll pull them out to be as part of this rotation. And then you look for another follow-up video maybe in 6 or 8 months, probably. So, all right, that's it for me, for real. I might have another video later today about some knives that are coming in, but that would be more along the lines of something you might expect to see on my channel for preps or emergency preparedness or EDC or something. So thanks for watching, guys.